Hello, I'm Hadewale Adeni and I'm the founder of Instinct Forum. I run trainings on various fields, and most especially the field of technology and software development. So, in this episode of the training, I'm going to teach you how you can create a virtual host on your computer, and that is for as many who in the software industry that they have been developing some real-time, functional and robust applications. Referencing some dependency files could be a problem if all you do is calling your applications in the development environment. I mean, right on your computer, if you are not working on the deployment environment, I mean the production environment, and that's on the web server. So if you are still working on your local computer, so referencing some dependency files, you may have some conflicts. For example, you have two different projects. You have a farm project and you have another one for business. So, and all you do is you type on your browser localhost / and the name of your application. Now, if there are two different dependency files in two different applications but with the same name, there is tendency that there will be conflict, and those who develop real-time applications will understand what I'm talking about. So the only way to avoid that headache is creating a virtual host, and that is what I want to take my time to teach you in this episode. So you'll be able to have different local URL, just like you can have on your web server: school.com, church.com, farm.com, business.com. So instead of saying localhost then school, localhost farm, localhost business, you can simply have something like school.localhost, farm.localhost, business.localhost, and then there is not going to be any conflict in accessing your file, because now you already have specific local URL to specific projects on, I mean, in your for your applications on your computer. So let's get started. There are two important files to edit, and the first one is called the httpdvhost.com file. So very important. And then the second one is your system host, which is called the vhost file. So let's get started. Go to your system explorer and select local disk, then the exam folder, then you see the Apache folder. Open the conf and extra. So try and locate the file. This is the file httpdvhost. So just open with your favorite text editor. Here I use Visual Studio Code. So that is the first file, and don't forget I said the second file is your system host file. So those are just the two files to be edited. Now right here we have access to the httpdvhost.conf, and what you have here is a guide on how you can set up your virtual host. For example, you see right here, this is declaring that you are creating a virtual host on port 80. It must always be on that port 80. Take notice. Then you have to indicate the server admin. Now, what is the server admin? The server admin is simply your local URL. For example, business.localhost or school.localhost. So that is your server admin. Then the next important thing is your document root, which is the location of your project on the computer. So then the next thing will be your directory. So I'm going to do that for you one after the other now. So simply go down, then create your virtual host. We have virtual host. Okay, and you have asterisk colon and 80, so making it to be on the port 80. Then you come down, just tap a bit. Now you have to declare your server admin. So now the server admin, now I'm about to create a project using the Yi framework. Yi framework is one of the most powerful PHP frameworks, and in the Yi advanced project template, there are 2 different applications in one project. So you can see the robustness of the application. So it is expedient that I create different local URL, virtual host for the 2 of them. So what I'm going to do now is that, let's say the project name is FreeCodeTube, just as you can see. Let me show you from my file explorer. Let me come to the web root directory. Yes, you can see FreeCodeTube. This is my project, and if I open this project, you're going to see back end, and then you see front end. Those are the 2 different applications, and these are the dependency files for the application. So let me come back right here. I want to first of all specify the local URL through which I can access the front end. So let's say FreeCodeTube. Now if you look at this side, you see webmaster at domain host2.example. that stands for your project name. Then you see .com. Now you use .com when you are hosting on a web server, that .com, .org, .edu, and like that. So in this case, so you have your project name .localhost. So that's the very first thing we need to do. Then secondly, you specify the document root. Yes, now the document root has to be your web root directory, and that's where you have your project. So we have C exam, then we have htdocs. Now in the Yi framework advanced template, we have 2 different applications. Like I told you, we have the front end for the front end application, then for the back end is another application on its own. Now I'm creating the virtual host for the first application, which is the front end. So access the front end /web. That is the way we have it in the project folder. You can see front end, then you have web. That is the file in which you have your file that displays on the public side. So let's come right here. So I've been able to successfully configure this one. So the next thing for me is to specify the directory, saying directory. So now I have this same root right here. Let me just copy and paste, then just close this one right here. Then after that, within the directory you have this now there is a file, just not to do that one after the other. Let me just copy the file from here. So just paste right here. So, and this undo the remaining part of the setup that you have to do in your directory. Just go through it one after the other. Then just like you go about your HTML, it goes with LIFO, I mean last in first out. That is, the first tag you open must be, the last tag opened must be the first tag to be closed. So in this case, we have a tag for the virtual host, then we have another tag for the directory respectively. So going with LIFO, it means we have to close the directory tag first. Close directory. Good. Then come right here, then close virtual host. Very good. So now we have been able to create a virtual host for that. So if you look through it now, so we have already configured the server admin, the document root, then we are able to specify the directory. So now you can now copy this and paste for the back end application. Good. So you just make some adjustment. For example, to access my back end, I want to use the local URL admin.freecodetube.localhost. So now my document root is going to change. Instead of front end, then this changes to back end. Then we have web, it changes also to back end and slash web. So in this case, I have successfully created a virtual host for the two. Then just save the file. Very good. Now once you do this, you go to your XAMPP control panel and stop the Apache service and just start it again so that it refreshes, and the changes we have made to the host file will be effected. Now the next file to be edited is your system host file. You have that in your local disk. Then Windows, from Windows you go to system 32. System 32, you have it right here. Then you have drivers and etc. So this is the host file. So also open it with your favorite text editor. Let me still open it with VS Code. So right here we have the file. Now this is what you see when you access your host file on your system. So right here you have an example of how to go about it. You see the IP address, then in the front you have your local URL, then you have any comment at all as regarding the URL of the application, so you can put them right here. So the hash indicates comments. So in this case now, you can see this is the one that is responsible for your local host. This is the one that enables you to run your project via localhost, that you type localhost slash then your project name. So in this case you don't have to do that anymore, but you can create your own. So based on what we have done in the previous file, which is this, now we have two virtual hosts for two projects. We have the front end of the FreeCodeTube. So we have FreeCodeTube.localhost and we have admin.freecodetube.localhost. So now in our host file, what we'll do is just come down a bit, then you just type this IP address. You can just copy these two, then paste it right here. So 127.0.0.1 is your default system's IP address, the localhost IP address. Then we change localhost to freecodetube.localhost. That's for the first one. Then you can copy this and just paste right here. Then for the second we have admin.freecodetube.localhost. So once you are able to do it this way, then you are good to go. Then you can save. Okay, now just because this is a system file, if you have not allowed the administrative permission, it is not going to save. So in your own case, if you are not using VS Code allows me to retry as admin. If you are using any other text editor that does not give room for that, just make sure you when you are about to launch the application, just right click and pick run as administrator. So in this case, I'm going to retry as admin. Then I have been able to save the file. So you can just be patient. Now let's go into the browser and see how it works. So right here, instead of saying localhost blah blah blah, so just say freecodetube.localhost and just run it. So it is going to launch the application, then you see the output. So you can see now, so this is it, the same way you do for the backend. I'm going to quickly create new for a fresh application. So let's say, okay, this is an application that is not in my web root directory. Then I want to move this folder, my app, into my web root directory. Okay, let me copy. Okay, let me just move it. Now htdocs, this is my web root directory, so that application does not exist here. Now let me paste. So this is a new project now in my local disk XAMPP and htdocs, that is my web root directory. So in that case, I will come into the system file. Now in the httpd-virtualost.conf. Now before I create that, let me go into the browser and let me just create the local URL that I want to use. Let's say my app, that's the name of the application, okay, .localhost. So let me launch it first. So you can see program loading page here, and in fact it is trying to access it via the World Wide Web because of the format. I'm launching it as if it is an application that has already been hosted on the web. So and it is not loading because I don't have a virtual host for it already. So now let's quickly create a virtual host. In this case, we already have this, so I can just copy any of the existing virtual hosts, then paste. Yeah, good. So I will change the system, the configuration. So instead of the admin.freecodetube, you can simply have my app.localhost. Then the document root for this, since it is not a framework project, it's just an HTML project, just a very simple website. So what I will do is that I will stop at the project name. So I have XAMPP, then htdocs, and then my app. So that will be the document root. Then in the directory, I will have just the same thing. Good. So then save. Very good. So with this now, I'm done right here. Then the next thing is to go into the host file and then add is to this 127.0.0.1. Then we have my app dot localhost. Now before I save this file, don't forget we have to restart the Apache server. Okay, so very good. So this is up and running now. Then let's save this file. save. We try as admin. Yes. Okay, so we are good to go. Then we can now go into the browser and then refresh. Let's see. Okay, let me try. My app.localhost. Okay, we have not accepted this, that is why it wasn't loading. Okay, so now let me just refresh. So just look at it, my app.localhost. Let's refresh now, and here we go. It has already opened the project in the directory. So just click on the index.html, then here you go with the application. It is already loading. You can see the title, and this is the application. So this is just the simple way to go by creating your virtual host, and I want to hope that this has been helpful. So please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and then click on the notification icon so that you can have updates on subsequent videos. Thank you.